This had so much more story than I was expecting. Avengers Endgame, released in 2019, directed by the Russo brothers. Starring everybody and then everyone else who weren't in Avengers 3. With a production budget of $356 million, a worldwide taking of $2.7 billion for a total profit of $2.4 billion. That's enough money to fund the next 10 Marvel movies by itself. Much like Infinity War, this movie is absolutely brimming with classic and amazing moments. Bro Thor, Cap lifting Mjolnir, the whole portals on your left scenario at the end. I could do an easy half hour on this. However, I just want to focus on two, maybe three elements of this film that I found particularly, well, memorable and endearing. And to my surprise, they're all story-based. First thing that struck me about this film was the way that they took their time. They indulged themselves to take the time to tell the slower story at the beginning. The heartbreaking moment as Hawkeye's family just go to ash. Cap in the support group. Natasha coping with everything back at the Avengers base. Being home alone and trying to keep what's left of anything that resembles the Avengers together. Showing the aftermath, showing the damage to society, showing the damage done to the world, how people are coping and not coping. I found that to be a really sweet balance in this film. Just that slow launch into the main story, I enjoyed that immensely. Ant-Man's a major player in Avengers 4. No one expected that. And even after Scott turns up, it's still a fairly slow process. Very slowly getting the band back together, convincing Tony, seeing Tony's home life, seeing why he's not interested in wrecking that by fiddling around with the timeline. Fantastic. You got Hulk's progression and story development. You got the fact that Rocket and Nebula are now just part of the team and operating on Earth and just kind of palling around with everyone else. The second part that particularly stands out to me is that time heist. That was great. Watching them naff around and figure out time travel, watching them argue about how time travel works, and look out, they actually fixed the time travel problem for movies. They introduced a version of time travel that actually makes a degree of sense to me and allows them to write a story that doesn't have everything in the past affecting the future. Look, it's really complicated. They go into it really well and they actually fix an incredibly problematic thing with any story like this, which is time travel. I honestly couldn't believe it when time travel didn't break the overall plot line. I was stunned. It's still a bit of a lightsaber moment, you know, it's very cool, don't think about it too much, but at least it isn't jarringly out of place. It was just fascinating watching them go back and seeing scenes and locations that we've already experienced in other films and having these almost behind the scenes snippets of life during those films. It was great. It filled in and fleshed out so much of the story. I love it when films go back and add extra bits into the existing lore and do it in such a way that makes sense and looks good, and it feels like the hidden extra chapters in a book. It's funny, but never mind the big fight at the end as far as I'm concerned. Whilst that was very cool, it's the first two acts that I really enjoyed. Fun fact, this was Robert Redford's final appearance in film prior to his retirement. That's a bit of a score. And the emotional story arc that Thor goes through, broken, damaged, depressed, fearful, anxious, pretty much ruined Thor, is brilliant. And the resolution that he gets with his mum, and then when he calls the hammer and he's still worthy, despite everything that he's going through, he's still worthy, it makes me get emotional every time I watch it and every time I think about it. That whole part hits very close to home for me. While Tony Stark's sacrifice in the movie was incredible, and also while Captain America's ending was very sweet for him, it was good to see that he actually gets a win. It's the Black Widow, it's Natasha who gets the most heroic moment in the entire movie by fighting with Hawkeye to save his life and then throw herself over that cliff, allowing them to achieve their mission and bring everyone back. It's actually Romanoff's sacrifice that saved the MCU. And I think that is an incredibly deep achievement for the character at the start with such a moral ambiguity to bring it right around and give her that incredible hero moment. I thought that was fantastic. Sadly, I'm out of time, so hey, the score, no surprise, it's as high as it can possibly get. It's the very best of the best in the MCU. Thanks for watching. I can't believe I packed all this into 5 minutes, but I hope you have a great week and you make some time to go and watch a movie.